How's everybody feeling?
Good.
Good. Way good. Yeah, that's awesome. Very, very cool. Okay, so tonight I wanted to talk about some wonderful wildlife because Australia is famous for wildlife in lots of different ways. We have lots of special things and unique things like platypus and koalas and kangaroos and all sorts of fun stuff. But one of the things that Australia as a country is really famous for is things that can kill you. And yeah, that's a bit weird. That's a big bit weird because, I mean, if you look at like that, I mean, it's a bit of a joke, but at the same time, it's actually not that much of a joke. There are things in all of these places that are actually quite dangerous. Up here, we've got the crocodiles and the jellyfish and the sharks and the spiders, and we've got ants that can hurt you and mosquitoes that can hurt you and all these wonderful things that can hurt you. But the reason I wanted to talk about it is because people come here on holiday. Hey guys, you can come in if you want. Come on in. There's people come here on holiday from all around the world and they think everything is going to kill them. Now, just for fun, out of curiosity, how many times have you kids been killed by an animal so far in Australia? 0. Right? I would wager everyone in this room has only been killed by an animal 0 times or less in this country, right? But there's this idea that everything is killing everyone. And don't get me wrong, there are some things in this country that can hurt you. There really are. But it's a little bit overdone. Now, Queensland as a state is actually famous for the deadliest things in the country. I mean, this state, of course, as I say, famous for having crocodiles. Crocodiles are massive. The crocodiles that live here in Queensland are actually officially the deadliest crocodiles in the world. They are more dangerous than any other type of crocodile on the planet, but they don't really kill that many people. And it's only people who are silly enough to do silly things around crocodiles like that man there that find themselves in trouble, right? We have, of course, our famous jellyfish. Jellyfish are dangerous. Jellyfish can hurt you really badly, but hardly anybody ever has actually been killed by jellyfish. In the last 100 years, there's been about 80 people die, and that's it. And 2 million people visit the Great Barrier Reef every single year, so it's not like there haven't been people here. It's that jellyfish aren't as common or as scary as people think. Obviously, you don't want to touch one. You certainly shouldn't put one in your mouth, but they're not as bad as people make them out to be. Now, in this state, we have the deadliest snake in the whole wide world. That's an inland taipan. Inland taipans are more venomous, more dangerous, more deadly than any other snake on the whole planet. How many people do you think they've killed?
5 million.
0. They've never killed anyone. Nobody's ever died from one of those snakes. It's just that they're technically the deadliest because they have the worst poison, the fastest bite, and the meanest temperament. But they've never killed anyone at all, ever. Ever, 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 ever. So we're scared of them, but they've never done anything wrong. We're just scared of them because they might one day, which seems a little bit abstract if you ask me. We also have, of course, the deadliest fish in the world. The stonefish is the most venomous fish in the whole wide world, which seems really scary, but they don't do anything, and it's only if you're like that silly man and you poke around on top of them that you might actually get hurt. They don't want to hurt you, they don't care, yeah?
What did we step on one?
If you step on one, that won't be great. You could, yes.
Scary.
It is scary. It is scary, which is a very good reason not to step on one, isn't it?
What did you can't see it?
Well, there's a reason why most people don't have problems with stonefish. It's because most people don't go in places where they are.
Where are they?
On the beach, at low tide, far out, in the places where you shouldn't be while there's crocodiles around anyway.
Scary.
It is scary. And that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with being scared of these animals. But it's also important to understand that it's not like they're out there to kill you. The idea of dying from an animal is scary. Definitely. Everybody should be scared of dying in some way, shape or form at some point. And being careful, very important. But if you're careful, most of these things won't go anywhere near you, right? Now we have the deadliest bird in the world here. How many of you have been killed by a cassowary? 0. Yeah. That doesn't mean they're not dangerous, but in Australia, they've only ever killed one person ever in the whole wide world. And they've been here for 66 million years. They've had some time to do it. They just don't do it. It doesn't mean you should go and cuddle one. You certainly shouldn't try and ride one. But the reputation certainly outweighs the reality. And then, you know, we've got the deadliest octopus in the world here, actually, as well. The only evidence that anyone's ever had one around here was actually a school group on the mangroves with a marine biologist that found one. So we know that we have them here, but nobody ever sees them because nobody walks around in the mangroves because there's crocodiles and jellyfish, stonefish. So just don't do that and you'll be fine, right? Now, on top of all of this, we have the deadliest snail in the whole wide world. Out of everything that I've shown you already, that's the one that scares me. Those snails, they're like that big, and we don't know what to do about them because if that thing shoots you, we don't have a medicine for that. They don't kill people because nobody dies. You just shouldn't pick up snails in the ocean, right? But that's the scariest thing in Australia. It's a snail. A snail. And so I just wanted to look at some animals and talk about how the wildlife here is often misunderstood. Yes, sweetheart.
I picked up a snail and it never hurt.
Well, congratulations. Was it a snail in the ocean or was it a snail in your garden?
It was a snail that was climbing up on my door.
Most snails that will climb up on your door want to be your friend. They won't shoot you. That one there doesn't want to be anyone's friend. But they live in the ocean. And if your door's in the ocean, that's weird anyway. So yeah, I think you're okay with that snail. Did you know what the most dangerous, deadliest, meanest animal in all of Australia is though? You want to guess what the worst animal in all of Australia is?
Mosquito.
Mosquito, shark. Now they're pretty good guesses, except they're totally opposite ends of the spectrum. Mosquitoes definitely kill more humans than any other animal on the entire planet. Mosquitoes kill a lot of people. But it's not the mosquitoes, it's the diseases that they have. And that's a thing. We don't want to get bitten by mosquitoes. They are actually really, really scary. The other end of the spectrum is sharks. Sharks kill hardly anybody, almost never. Sharks are actually super safe. Some of my best friends are sharks, and they haven't killed me many times at all. But the most dangerous animal in Australia, the worst, the scariest, the meanest animal in the whole country is a horse. And they eat grass. I don't know why, but horses hurt more people than any other animal in Australia. Look at it. It just looks vicious, doesn't it? It just looks scary. That's a scary horse.
Really cute.
It does look really cute, doesn't it?
Horse ride.
Yeah, well, be very careful. Because horses are lovely, but it's a lot easier to get hurt by a horse than it is by a snail, or a shark, or a snake, or a crocodile. And it happens a lot in this country, because if you fall off a horse, it's a long way down. If you get kicked by a horse, I had my nose broken by a horse when I was a kid, just right in the face. It was weird. I didn't like it. I didn't do it twice, that's for sure. But yeah, horses are more scary than any other animal in Australia. But people come up here on holiday, they go, what about the snakes? What about the spiders? What about the sharks? What about the crocodiles? What about them? They don't do much to anyone. So I wanted to talk about some animals and what we understand about them, what we get wrong about them, and the realities about them. And I wanted to do it with the help of my Lego because I play with a lot of Lego and I think it's a fun way to do things, right? So this one here, let's talk about this. The reason I photograph everything with Lego is because the Lego person has always been the same size. If you take a Lego person and you put it next to an animal, you know how big the animal is. That's why I do it this way. And that photo there, that's the first photo of an animal with Lego that I ever took. I've taken a lot more since. That snake could kill me 3 times. It's a brand new baby death adder. They are the 10th deadliest animal in Australia on paper. They are the 12th deadliest snake in the world. They are the fastest striking snake on the whole planet. It's pretty cute, isn't it? So they, in this country, as far as anybody knows, have never really killed anyone at all. But on paper, the numbers look really scary. Now, I'm not saying that you should play with snakes. Do not play with snakes. Do not ever put snakes on your Lego. That's a stupid idea. You'd have to be an idiot to put animals on Lego. But I catch snakes for a living. I actually handle snakes anyway, so I know what I'm doing with them, but you shouldn't do it, all right? But that one there, that's just a cute little snake. They're not that scary, and if you leave snakes alone, they will leave you alone. It's very important to understand with animals, most animals, nearly all animals, don't want to hurt you. Most animals don't really care whether you're there or not, but if you scare them, if you hurt them, if you make them feel uncomfortable, they don't have ways to tell you to leave them alone. If they haven't got words and they haven't got noises you understand, all they've got left is their body parts. Snakes have only got two ends. They don't have many body parts. They can't wave you away with their hand. All they can do. But a snake only does that to people when it's scared. They can't eat you. They don't want to try and hurt you. They're just scared. So if you don't scare snakes, you won't get bitten by snakes. Now, lots of people are scared of snakes though. And snakes, don't get me wrong, snakes are kind of intimidating. That one there, that's a red-bellied black snake. That's a little baby one as well. And that snake there is the 12th deadliest snake/animal in the entire country. Red-bellied black snakes have never, ever, ever killed anyone in Australia as far as we know. But people are scared of them because they're snakes. That guy on the plane's scared of it. She's scared of it. Nobody likes snakes on a plane. But yeah, they're not really angry and they don't really like it. But what does happen with snakes, especially these snakes, they have a home and they live in their home and they feel safe in their home. But what they do is they come out of their home and they sit in the sun to warm up. And if you surprise them, you will scare them. And you know what they'll do when they're scared and surprised? They run home. If you are between them and their home, where are they going to run? Straight at you. And people think that they're running at them. They're trying to attack them. They're trying to kill them. But all they're trying to do is get home because they're scared. Snakes don't want to bite you. Because the reason snakes are so scary is because they have venom, right? Venom is like a poison and they put it in your skin and it makes you sick. But they use venom to catch food and you're not food. They can't eat you. But if they put their venom in you, they can't ask for it back. Snakes don't bite people and then go, excuse me, I need that for something else. They have to just make more. And it's hard to make. It takes a lot of energy. So for a snake to bite a human, it actually makes their life really hard. And they try not to do it for their own sake because it would possibly mean they can't catch food anymore. And that's not great for snakes. So snakes aren't that scary, but we have a lot of snakes up here. But most of our snakes, they are actually lovely. Most of our snakes are quite fun, like that. That's a Maclay's water snake. Now Maclay's water snake is also venomous, but Maclay's water snake has venomous fangs in the back of its mouth. So to bite you, it would have to open its mouth really, really big and get all of you in their mouth to even put venom in there. And then the venom that they have is actually made for killing little frogs. So it wouldn't really kill you, it'd just make you sick. But most of our snakes are a little bit venomous, but have little teeth that they just can't put in your skin. You can come in, you don't have to be shy. Come on down. So Maclay's water snakes, they eat frogs. They're not a scary thing for you, they're just a lovely snake. Look at the smile on its face, it's got a big smile. It's just it's like a puppy dog of a snake. They're adorable, adorable. And most of the snakes that we see here in this region aren't those ones, they're actually pythons. Most of our snakes in far north Queensland, in the rainforest at least, are pythons. And pythons don't even have venom. They don't even have poison to hurt you with. They catch their food at night while their food is sleeping. And sometimes you see them here at the Sheraton, sometimes they're going out on the pathways at night, but they're not looking for you. They're looking for other things like mice and bandicoots and frogs and lizards, and that's all they're interested in. This is a tiny little baby one. This one's a brand new little baby spotted python. And spotted pythons are lovely, lovely. But they are super cool. Pythons, underneath their nose here, they have a series of glands along their lip which can pick up the temperature of warm things like birds and possums. And so at night they can look for animals using heat glands, and they don't have to see with their eyes, they can tell the differences in temperature, which is really good for them, but it does mean that they normally hunt at night. We don't normally see them in the daytime, and that's kind of cool. So snakes, you don't normally see them here, and if you do see them, don't freak out, and if you do see them, don't be scared that they're trying to kill you, because they're not. They're just snakes. Happy little snakes living happy little snake lives. Now, snakes are pretty chill, but other dangerous things, not always so cool. This is a Sydney funnel web. Well, it's not a Sydney funnel web. It's a funnel web, but it's not a Sydney funnel web. It's important to know there's actually 37 different types of funnel web spider, only one Sydney funnel web. But that one there, that is actually more venomous than a Sydney funnel web, because that's a Kagari funnel web spider. And they have a higher venom toxicity, but they have never killed anyone in the world ever. Sydney funnel webs are the only one that's ever killed anyone in the world, and they've only ever killed 13 people out of all of their time on this planet. And all of that happened before we made medicine to make people better if they got bitten by one. Nobody has been killed by a funnel web spider in over 40 years. But they do have a bad temper, and sometimes they get really angry like that one, and they'll put their legs up to say, "You leave me alone because I'm scary." Yeah, it is Lego. You say, "Leave me alone." And then if you come near them, most spiders, the first thing they'll do is actually hit you with their legs and say, "No, leave me alone." And then if you don't leave them alone, then they'll bite you. But the point here is, obviously, if a spider is angry, don't pick on it, don't poke it, don't play with it, leave it alone. Things like that, they're nowhere near as scary as people think. They just need to be respected. Now, the second deadliest spider in Australia is one of these, and redback spiders have never killed anyone in this country. Ever. But that doesn't mean you should play with them. They're still dangerous, but they don't really kill people. That's just not a thing they want to do. They're teeny wee little spiders. They just like hanging around in toilets. I think they like the smell. It's a bit strange. I actually found that one in a toilet and took it out the toilet to put it in a Lego toilet before taking it back to the toilet to let it go again. It's a bit weird. But yeah, they're not as dangerous as people think. They're just an idea that's kind of scary, but spiders just want to live little spider lives. However, some spiders live big spider lives.
You want to watch?
You can ask, it's all right. You don't have to be quiet.
I want to watch it now.
What is it? You want to watch? What? Well...
No, I wanted to watch the movie.
Oh, it's not a movie. It's because lots of these animals are a little bit crazy. Just a little bit crazy. And so something like that, it was very hard just to get a photo. Trying to get a movie, whew, so tricky. I've tried to take some movies of animals with Lego, but they don't like to play. It's very hard to give them directions, you know. But that's one of the biggest huntsman spider species in Australia. Now, huntsman spiders are a little bit different. Lots of people are scared of them, but huntsman spiders can't actually really hurt you properly. They have big teeth, and the teeth hurt. If you get bitten by one, it's not nice, but they don't have venom. So huntsman spiders, they just use their big teeth to catch insects, but they don't want to use them on you. But what they do is huntsman spiders walk around a lot looking for food, and they go everywhere they can, which is why they end up in people's cars, around people's houses, and surprising people all over the place. But huntsman spiders, they're actually really nice. They don't like to bite, they don't get angry easily, and if you just leave them alone on a wall, they'll be perfectly fine. But the point of all of this is, obviously, as I'm trying to say, is just these things don't want to eat you. They don't want to kill you. That thing couldn't eat you even if it tried. These police officers are unjustifiably concerned about this thing. So, you know, just relax. Now, the biggest spider you'll see around here is going to be one of these. And this is a giant golden orb weaver. And giant golden orb weavers, people freak out about them all the time because they're big.
We have those Lego.
Can you have them? Well, I've only got this Lego here, and I'll give you the Lego man to play with, but I need him back at the end, okay? You're not allowed to keep him, but you can play with him. Do you want to play with him while I'm talking? Yeah, all right, as long as I get him back. Because it's actually me. You see, he's bald and I'm bald and he's got a smile and I've got a smile. That's me. And if you take me away from me, I'll miss me. But you can play with him while we're talking, for sure. That's all right. So golden orb weavers, they spin a web, big web. Spiders that spin webs, they're not trying to hunt you. They're not trying to go anywhere. They don't want to leave the web. They've actually got really bad eyesight. But what they can do is feel vibrations. And when they spin a web, they can feel the whole web. And all of their legs touch different parts of the web, and everything that moves around them, they can feel it. It's a little bit like hearing, but it's not hearing. But they are aware of the vibrations that happen around them. So they're looking for flies and moths and butterflies and beetles. They're certainly not looking for big kids. And you know, you can scare one of them if you scream next to their web. I found that out yesterday on tour in the rainforest when a woman screamed next to the web of a spider and the spider freaked out. Nobody touched the web. She just screamed loud enough that it made the web vibrate to the point where the spider went, "What the hell was that?" They're not interested in us. That spider there, they are what we call reluctant biters. They don't like to bite at all. Even if they get on you, they just go, "Ee!" and they let go again. They don't want to bite you. They're really, really cool. So if you see spiders, just look at them, enjoy them. If you don't try and squish them or touch them or grab them or pick them up or play with them, nothing happens. And this is what happens with all of our dangerous things, is they don't want to play with you if you don't play with them. So then, you know, the reef, I said we have sharks, and we do, but the shark we see more often than not is things like this. And this is a carpet shark. Now sharks, big sharks, scary sharks, they have to swim all the time because they swim with their mouth open and the water goes in their mouth and then comes out their gills, and that's how they breathe. For us, we have muscles we can use to breathe. For sharks, they have to have water going in their mouth all the time. So when they sleep, they have to swim and sleep at the same time with their mouth open, which is a bit weird, but kind of cool, because what they do is turn off half their brain and leave the other half in charge of swimming. And then when this half has had a rest, they turn it back on and turn that half off and leave this half in charge of swimming, which is super strange. I think that would be fun, actually. I'd probably get more sleep if I could do it that way. This one here, though, this is an epaulette shark. And epaulette sharks, they hunt for snails and crabs and mussels and mollusks. You see he's got his little dangly fadubada bits on his face? They're all very sensitive, and he sniffs around in the sand a bit like a puppy dog, and if he can pick up the smell of something delicious, then he just goes in and eats it up. Sharks are pretty cool, and the sharks on the reef, they're all cool. They don't want to be mean to you, they don't want to play with you, they just want to hang out. That particular species there, pretty interesting species. They're the only species of shark we know of that can use its fins like feet and walk on the coral. And they actually hunt at low tide when all the coral sticks out of the water. They walk over the coral and go into the pools because then nothing can run away from them. They catch things in little pools and just chase them into corners and eat them. So they can hold their breath for a really long time and just walk in the land and get back into the water. It's pretty cool stuff. But they're certainly not trying to eat technical divers fixing pipelines. So it's not worth being worried about sharks, especially when you go to the reef. If you get to see a shark, congratulations. They're pretty cool. Now out on the reef, of course, oh yeah.
How do you get all these pictures of the animals?
I ask them very nicely. That is a good question. I get asked that question a lot. The answer is always the same. I get these photos carefully by asking nicely. Every animal's different though, right? Obviously, a shark, I had to take all my Lego in a big tub out to the beach at low tide, and when I found one, I asked it to come into the tub, and it came into the tub, and I took a photo, and then I let it go again. Things like the spiders, well, the spiders are a bit different, right? Like that one there, I was gardening and I broke its web, so it came down. And because it came down, I put it on some Lego. So I didn't really ask it nicely, I accidentally broke its home. But because I broke its home, I thought I'd make use of the opportunity to photograph it, and then I put it back where it could live a normal life. Whereas something like that one there belongs to a friend of mine, that's a pet spider. And I said to my friend, can I use your spider for a photo? And he said, yes, and I did. So every photo is different. Every photo is different. And that one there, well, that was a little bit tricky because, yeah, sharks aren't necessarily keen on Lego. There's a lot of plastic in the ocean already and they've got a few grudges about that. Yeah.
Do you speak shark language?
Do I speak That's a great question. Do I speak shark language? I actually do a little bit. I have the ability to call sharks to come and visit me. And that's why some of sharks are my best friends. It's because I can talk to sharks a little bit and say, hey, come over here, let's hang out. And then they come and hang out with me. And then I don't know what else to say because I can't speak the rest of their language. It's a bit weird. It's kind of like being able to say, una cerveja, por favor, but after that, what else do, you know? Apart from ordering beer, you're out of options. So yeah, I speak a little bit, but not enough. Now, when we go out to the reef, you do have to worry about jellyfish. And if you go to the reef at the moment, they're going to give you a stinger suit. They're going to make you wear a big long suit that covers you. Now, this is a blue bottle jellyfish, and blue bottle jellyfish hurt. They hurt. But they're also really, really interesting because they're not a true jellyfish. Blue bottle jellyfish aren't really a type of jellyfish at all. They're a colony of organisms. And they're all technically the exact same organism, but there's many different ones. And some of them decide that they're going to make a balloon, and some of them decide that they're going to make a stomach, and some of them decide they're going to make stinging tentacles. But it's actually a collection of separate organisms that have all clustered together and decided to take on different tasks to operate like a superorganism, a bit like Voltron or the big Transformers that all come together to make one big robot. But that's beside the point. When they get on your face, it hurts. So wear a stinger suit. Now, things like that though, because they float, they don't chase people. They just drift woo, in the water. And if you're in the water and they're in the water and they drift past you, but jellyfish can't eat people. Jellyfish don't want to eat people. And even our scary jellyfish aren't trying to eat anyone. They're just trying to get by in their life. But jellyfish are small and they can't swim very fast. So a lot of what happens with jellyfish is when people are out in the ocean, there's a cord to get stuck on there. When they're out in the ocean, people swim really fast, jellyfish swim really slowly, and people just run into jellyfish that can't get out the way fast enough. But they would try and get out of the way if they could. That jellyfish I showed you at the start, the box jellyfish, and the irukandji jellyfish, they actually have 9 eyes on every corner of their head. They can see up, they can see out, they can see down, and they will move away from anything that comes near them if they can, but if you come at them too fast, they don't get a choice. So people get stung by jellyfish when they run into the water, when they jump into the water, or where they stand in the water when the water's moving a lot, like waves and stuff. But it's not like they're out there hunting people. And that's important to know because jellyfish are kind of lazy, really. The laziest jellyfish you'll find around here though is one of these ones. This is an upside down jellyfish, and you'll never guess why it's called an upside down jellyfish. Yeah, because it's upside down. Can't pull one over you. Yeah, upside down jellyfish actually get most of their food from the sun. Upside down jellyfish have plants that live inside their skin. So if you see like up here, there's little brown spots there. All the little brown spots are little plants living inside their skin. And the plants turn sunlight into sugar, and then they give the sugar to the jellyfish. We like sugar, don't we? Everybody likes sugar. And they get sugar just for having plants living with them. So they sit in the sun and they get sugar for nothing, which is pretty cool, but they are jellyfish. Now, they don't have many stinging bits on their tentacles, but these ones are actually super, super cool. What they do for hunting, so they can try and catch food, is they make a bubble of mucus. Now mucus, for us, the easiest way to think of mucus is just snot. They make a big bubble of snot. Have you ever hidden in a bubble of your own snot before? No? Lots of things in the ocean do. It seems like a fun way to get by out in the water. He makes a big bubble of his own snot and then hides inside it. And in the snot bubble, they make separate little bits of skin. Just bits of skin. They're not alive. They don't have their own minds. But the little bits of skin that come off, they get stuck in the snot bubble and they just sit around them in a bubble of snot. But the little bits of skin all have stinging cells. So what they do is basically make a little minefield around them in a bubble of snot. And when fish swim through it, they get stung and fall down. And then he gets to eat them, which is really weird. It's a really weird way to get by. And the only reason anybody knows that is because if you pick them up, they let all of that snot run down your arm and it hurts like hell. So don't pick up jellyfish, it's not good. But they are fascinating all the same. They're certainly more interesting than just a scary thing, right? Now, there's lots of things here that are pretty interesting. Here in Far North Queensland, lots of things that are absolutely fascinating. One of the most common things that most people aren't that fascinated by would be a green ant. Now, green ants, you'll see them around quite a bit. Green ants are a pretty amazing creature, all by themselves. Green ants have huge colonies and they are actually really important to trees. Trees pay green ants to come and live in them. Trees can actually make sugar that green ants like so that green ants will come in and live in them and stay there. So the trees make the sugar so the green ants live there. The green ants, they eat all the other insects that come and land on the trees. Yes?
Why do some people eat the green ants?
Because they're delicious.
It's yucky.
It's not yucky. It's an acquired taste. Delicious is a subjective viewpoint, you know. It's some people think they're yum. Some people eat green ants because they think they're medicinal, but technically they don't actually contain ascorbic acid. So there's a rumour that they taste like lime because they contain vitamin C, but they don't. They actually contain formic acid, which is technically bad for you if you eat enough of it. So if you eat too many of them, it'll make you sick. But if you eat a couple of them, they do contain riboflavin, thiamine, and a few other nutrients that are good for you. So eating a couple of ants as a snack is okay, but binging on ants will make your tummy sick. Does that help? Probably not. You're not going to eat them anyway. You think they're yucky. But they are an interesting ant, and they control entire regions of forest. They can live in colonies that can span up to 12 trees. They are absolutely phenomenal. But they're such an interesting and common part of this place here, and there are other animals that have decided they want to be like them. So we have a spider that you might find around the green ants that pretends it's a green ant. The scientists that named it very conveniently called it a green ant mimic spider because it mimics green ants. Now, this ant, spider ant, whatever you want to call it, you can see spiders have too many legs, right? Ants have 6 legs and 2 antennae. Spiders have 8 legs and no antenna. It's a pretty easy answer though, isn't it? You just put your antenna up, like pretend your front legs are antenna. And then this ant, spider thing, can actually live with the ants. And it doesn't just live alongside them and pretend that it's one from a distance. This particular species of spider has learnt how to talk like an ant, how to walk like an ant, how to act like an ant, and how to smell like an ant. They can actually go into the nests and live with them in the nests, yes.
What if someone mistakes them and eat it?
It probably wouldn't taste as nice. I mean, I don't think it would make you too sick. You might get bitten if you try to eat a spider by its bum, but I don't think it would be nice. I don't think they contain yummy formic acid. I'll have to find out next time I see one. It's hard to say. But yeah, that kind of mimicry, that's called aggressive mimicry, actively pretending you are everything about another animal so that you can live with them, is very, very rare. And these little guys here are absolutely phenomenal at it. They can coexist with them, move through the area, go into the nest. Like they actually, to smell like the other ants, they have to get into the nest and then help move babies around so that they get the pheromones of the babies on them. Which is amazing to think that a spider would just go into an ant's nest and help, you know, move the nursery. Can I get that one for you? I'll take it over here, la la bye. And just put it, it's the weirdest thing in the world. But pretending you're an ant is a great idea for lots of different things. It's called myrmecomorphy. Myrmaceae is the ant family. Morphe, you know, changing your body shape. Myrmecomorphy, lots of things do it. Sometimes they do it because they want to live alongside things. Sometimes they do it because they want to eat things. Sometimes they do it because they don't want to be eaten by things. This is a type of bug. This is a Riptortus seripes. And when they're young, they pretend they're a green ant because green ants are scary. And everybody leaves green ants alone because there's thousands of them and they're mean. So if you look like one, everybody just leaves you alone because they're scared of your friends, which is pretty cool stuff. But when they get older, they change the way they look and they become really ugly, big brown, mean things. So myrmecomorphy is fun. But probably my favourite myrmecomorph would be this. Now, it's not a great photo, and I'm sorry about that, but this spider moves a lot. It's a ground-dwelling sac spider, and it pretends to be a red-headed spider ant. There is an ant that looks like a spider, and a spider that looks like the ant. They pretend to be each other, and I don't think either of them know which is better. But that spider acts like an ant because the ant is an ant, but the ant acts like the spider so that people think it's a spider, which is really quite silly. But it's fascinating because that one red-headed spider ant, not only does it have a spider that likes to live alongside it pretending it's an ant, there's also these. Now this is pretending it's a red-headed spider ant as well, and this is a spiny leaf insect. A tiny little baby spiny leaf insect. And these things here, they're super, super, super cool. Because not only do they pretend to be an ant, but their whole life is pretending. The eggs, when they're born, when the mummies make the eggs look like the seeds of a tree. Now, tree seeds have been using ants as friends for a long time. There's lots of different seeds that have a little bit of sugar on the outside, so ants would like to eat them. And the ants find the seeds, they go, yay, sugar, and they pick the seed up and they take it home and they eat the sugar and they leave the seed in their nests underground. So the ants take the seeds and plant them underground, which helps the trees. This insect, when it lays an egg, makes its eggs look like seeds, and also makes a little bit of sugar on the outside that the ants can eat. So the ants pick up the eggs of this insect, take them underground like seeds, eat the sugar, and leave the egg behind. And then the egg gets to grow up safe inside an ant nest, which is cool until they hatch. Because when they hatch, they're a baby inside an ant nest. What are you supposed to do? So they pretend they're an ant and get out as fast as they can. So they only they're hidden like an ant. And what they do is they curl up their bum and curl it right up down here so it looks just like the ants. They have a red head, just like the ants. They have red legs, just like the ants, and they move like the ants. They run like the ants. They smell like the ants because they hatched in the nest, and they get out as fast as they can. Because in a day or two, they lose their first skin and they don't look like an ant anymore. So they need to get out fast. But it's fascinating to think that they could look like a tree seed so that they can trick ants, but then they have to look like an ant to get away from the ants before they can go on with their life and look like a dead leaf. Their whole life is a lie. Everything about them is just mimicry. They look like a dead leaf. They hang upside down from trees. You can come in if you want. You're welcome. Come on in. So they look like a dead leaf. They're called spiny leaf insects because they're spiny and they look like a leaf. It's a pretty simple gig, you know, but they're amazing stick insects with this mimicry stuff. It's really cool. And what they do is when they're disturbed, they actually move with the wind so that they look like a leaf blowing in the wind, because if the wind blew and one leaf was like, I'm not doing it, it obviously wouldn't be a leaf. So it's a really weird bit of defense. But not every stick insect is quite so worried about hiding. This particular stick insect, this is a peppermint stick insect. Peppermint stick insects only live in the Daintree rainforest and one little pocket of life in Indonesia. And peppermint stick insects are called peppermint stick insects because they taste like candy canes. That's not even a joke, actually. These insects, they eat a certain type of plant that has chemicals in it. Special type of chemical. When they eat the plant, they don't eat the chemical. They move it through their body into a gland on their back. So back there is a little sac filled with a chemical that smells and tastes like peppermint. And they keep it there because if anything ever tries to eat them, it will come down from above and grab them, and they can spray peppermint oil into the face of any bird or possum that tries to eat them. So they actually have a weapon. Stick insects don't normally have weapons. This one here can shoot peppermint gas, and they can shoot it up to 75 centimeters away, which is just absurd. But yeah, they're really fascinating stick insects. And so the other thing that they do have is they have special colouring. They have what we call aposematic coloration, which is a stupid long word for warning colours. They're bright green to tell things that they're scary and they've got weapons if they need to use them. So they're actually pretty cool. But these ones here, you've got to look really carefully for them. You can grab a proper seat. Come on in. You don't have to sit up the back. You're not in trouble for being late. It's all right. So peppermint stick insects are really cool, and they're only here in the Daintree. You can find them if you go up over the river. They're really awesome things. And they're also good pets, which is weird. They're rare and unique to this place, but you can buy them online as a pet for very little money, which is strange. And they're not the only thing that has a weapon, right? Lots of bugs have weapons. And this is one of the reasons that it's very important that, as cool as this stuff might look, you shouldn't try and do this stuff at home, is because many of these insects can actually protect themselves in lots of different ways. And one of the things that I have found really interesting while I've been learning about all these things is that people are scared of snakes. People are scared of spiders. People are scared of sharks. Nobody's scared of a stick insect, but if that thing shot you in the eye, you'd regret it. It's not nice. This bug here, this is a type of stink bug. This is actually a corrid leaf-footed bug. It doesn't have a nice family-friendly common name, but in their bum, right here, they have a gland filled with acid. And if you make them upset or scared, they shoot it. And the acid will burn your skin. It hurts a lot and it stinks. But it's just a little beetle. It's not like beetles are out there trying to hurt people, but beetles get scared just like everything else gets scared. And if you scare a beetle, they can hurt you really bad. So it's a good idea to be nice to everything all the time, just in case. Now, it's also technically a hemipteran or a bug. The word bug doesn't mean all insects. It actually just means bugs that have a really scary, stabby mouth. That thing there is the mouth of that bug. And it's sharp, so sharp. And in it, it's got a little bit of poison. Now, if you were to pick that bug up, and it's a teeny weeny little bug, if you picked it up and tried to squish it, it would stab you and hurt a lot. And they're not able to kill us and they're not scary for us, but they do have a defense mechanism. Cicadas, same thing. Cicadas have a big stabby mouth part and they can hurt you really badly. They don't want to, they don't need to, they're not going to try, but if you're not careful, maybe they will. So it's important to respect everything, big and small, because you just never know. You just never know. And some things just look plain goofy, but even this is a water strider. Water striders are amazing. There's over 70 species of water strider on the planet. Some of them live out in the ocean, never ever, 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 ever come back to land. Water striders, on their feet, they have the 4 big long legs, and their feet have little hairs, and the hairs hate water. They're called hydrophobic hairs. Hydro means water, phobic means hate or scared of, and they have hairs on their feet that push water away. So if they keep their feet out at a nice distance, they can balance perfectly on the water. And there are things out there in the middle of the ocean, big, scary, weird bugs with stabby faces just floating on the ocean forever, which is the weirdest thing. These front legs, they're in the water. You see they're in the water there. They're feeling for vibrations underwater because this beetle, which lives on top of the water, eats fish. And what it does is when there's a fish underneath it and it can feel it, it just grabs it and sticks its face straw in the fish. Super weird. Super weird. There's things out in the ocean just grabbing fish from under the... Oh, it's the weirdest thing in the world. But, you know, bugs. Bugs are amazing. There's so many wonderful wild things out there that nobody really knows about. And it's not just insects. It's not just bugs. Frogs are pretty cool too. There's lots of really cool frogs. But this one showed up on my back patio. And this is a desert tree frog, which is funny because the desert's not famous for trees and frogs normally like water. The whole thing seems a bit odd. Desert tree frogs are actually found everywhere around Australia, not just the desert. They're actually a really cosmopolitan frog, which means they live in lots of different places. But what's cool is they are specially designed to live in the desert. A thing that needs water, specially designed to live in the one place where there's no water, which seems a bit silly. So they have the ability to change the colour of their skin and make themselves very pale, because on a hot sunny day, if they were dark colours, the sun would warm them up and all the water would dry out of them. So they make themselves really shiny so the sun bounces off so they don't dry out. But the coolest bit about them is how they make their babies. They have to lay their eggs in water and the eggs have to grow in water. There's not a lot of water just lying around in the desert. When it rains, yeah,
How do you have so much Lego?
because I'm an irresponsible grown man. I have a lot of Lego because, yep, no, that's it. I'm an irresponsible grown man. There's no better way to explain that. I have no restraint. I have a bit of ADHD. I have a credit card. I have a very generous wife who loves me very much, and I'm not sure why. But there's no good reasons why I have so much Lego. It comes with time. You'll get there. Just keep collecting, right? So when it rains, they have to make babies real quickly. So when it rains, there's puddles in the desert. They go and make babies in the puddles. They lay their eggs in the puddles straight away. And the eggs are specially designed to incubate faster or slower based on the temperature. If the rain stops and the sun comes up, the puddle is going to get warm and dry out really quickly. And as the puddle warms, the egg gets ready faster and faster and faster and faster. So if the puddle dries up in a day, the frog is ready in a day. But if the puddle lasts for a week, the frog takes a week to get ready. It just does as long as it can. And so the eggs, they grow in puddles and they are temperature sensitive, which is super weird. Most animals don't have accelerated growth rates based on temperature. But if you're going to live in puddles in the desert, you've got to figure it out, you know? And that's just mad. Because the desert is harsh and most of Australia is dry. We have some really cool desert creatures here, like this one. This is probably one of the coolest animals in all of Australia. Definitely one of the coolest animals. And these guys here, they're very unique. They live in the desert and they have a lot of special adaptations for safety. See, in the desert, the colours, they don't stand out in the red sand in the desert, so that's handy. But then they've also got the worry of birds coming down and trying to eat them. So all these spikes make them look real scary, but the spikes are actually soft. It's just cheeky fake spikes. But on the back of their head, you see this big lumpy spiky thing here? That's a fake head, which is really quite strange because it assumes that the birds know what the real head looks like. It seems like a bit of an assumption, but it works. You know how most lizards can lose their tail if something grabs it? They just let go of it and run away. He can lose his head and just run away. There's a fake head there. If a bird comes down and tries to grab him by the head, he just drops his head, pops it off and runs away with the real head still intact, which is the coolest thing. They can run up to about 50 kilometers an hour, which is crazy because the lizard's about that big. They can run very fast. But the coolest thing about them, actually no, hang on, we won't get to the coolest thing yet. The second coolest thing about them, they eat ants. They eat ants that stink. Meat ants. And the meat ants have a really strong smell. And when you squash an ant, the smell that it makes tells the other ants, somebody just squashed an ant. So when ants, you would see this, if you ever accidentally kill an ant, the other ants get angry, they can smell that you killed an ant. They don't know that you didn't mean it. I'm sure it was an accident, but you can't tell that to an ant because you don't speak ant language. But when you smell one dead ant, all the other ants get angry. And when the smell is on you, they know that you're the problem, even if they can't see you doing it. They smell you're the problem. So he eats ants, but that means his breath stinks. And he can't eat two ants because the second ant will smell the first one. So he has a special nose. His nostrils are actually way up here and they face upwards. So when he eats ants, he breathes out, up, so that the ants down on the ground can't smell him. And then he just grabs them really quickly and breathes up all the time so that none of the ants know that there's ants being eaten. And he just walks along behind a line of ants and just plows through the whole thing. It's absolutely phenomenal. But it's not the coolest thing. The coolest thing is, you see his scales here? He's got all these weird, wonderful, wavy scales. Those scales are perfectly separated to cause capillary action. Now, you don't have to know what capillary action means, but it's like a straw. In between every scale, there's the perfect amount of space for water to get sucked up. That lizard is designed so that if he puts his foot in a puddle of water, the water sucks up his arm, goes all the way up his face, and goes into his mouth. So they can just stand in the desert in a puddle and drink water. When the mist comes overnight and lands on his back, just goes into his mouth. He doesn't have to drink water. It's just constantly being funneled into his face by his scales, which is the weirdest thing in the world. Could you imagine drinking through your finger? Just touching water. It makes swimming in a swimming pool hard, wouldn't it? Be a bit weird. But yeah, that's how you get by in the desert. Fake heads and weird suction scales.
How big are they?
Tiny. So the Lego man in the back, that's, you know, a Lego man. Yeah, they're tiny. I mean, that's a mature one. They're really quite small. Yeah. Which, that was probably the hardest part. That particular one, to find that and get that photo, well, we drove all the way to Uluru because they don't have them here. So I made the Lego set and then we drove to Uluru, and for 4 days of driving I was just like, and when I saw one on the highway, smashed the brakes on, ran up the highway, grabbed this little lizard and put it on my Lego set. It was pretty awesome. But yeah, they are tiny, tiny little lizards. Phenomenal things, but very hard to spot. They get pancaked a lot on the highways. So here, I mean, camouflage in the desert is that. But we're in a rainforest here. Camouflage in a rainforest looks a little bit different. And camouflage here, well, lots of things have decided to do the same thing. Lots of bugs that eat leaves have just decided to look like leaves. Because that means you can eat what you like and look like what you're eating at the same time, which would probably only be confusing if another bug tried to eat you while you were trying to eat a leaf. But there is a whole family of katydids, and katydids are related to grasshoppers, but they live in the trees, and katydids, there is a whole group of them that all just look like leaves. There's lots of things that look like leaves though. There's butterflies that look like leaves, there's moths that look like leaves, there's some ants and some insects that look like leaves, but these guys here, they've pulled it off the best, I reckon. That one there is only found here in the Daintree rainforest. It's a Cauloplacella incisa. It doesn't have a common name. Only found here, and they have the ability to flatten out so they look perfectly like a leaf, which is cool except for the fact that that one was looking perfectly like a leaf on white paint. The one thing these guys can't figure out is whether or not they're actually working as a camouflage, because often they'll just sit on white paint. There's no good looking like a perfectly green leaf on white paint. You stand out, but they do it all the time. And most of the leaf mimic katydids in the rainforest, I don't know why, they're just attracted to white paint. I don't know if they think it's a fashion show or what. They're just like, this is gonna make me stand out. Their whole life is not standing out. But yeah, that's what they do. See all the little veins and channels in this? I mean, this is a perfect leaf mimicry. It's textured and everything. There's a moth here that even has a bite out of the leaf. It looks like a rotten leaf with a bite taken out of it. So cool. But one of my favourite camouflage things in the rainforest here would be this. Now this is a Boyd's forest dragon. They're only found in this rainforest as well. And Boyd's forest dragon, they're camouflaged in more ways than one. They look like a tree and they sit on trees. All the time they're just holding onto trees. They eat whatever climbs up the tree near them. So they eat ants and beetles and cockroaches and stuff. They try not to move at all. Even at night, they just close their eyes. They don't even change their position. They stay asleep over the night. In the morning, they just wake up and that's all they change from night to day, which is the coolest thing in the world. Which means if you go to Mossman Gorge, and you should, if you haven't yet, go to Mossman Gorge, you have to look at all the lumps on all the trees because some of them will be lizards. It's a lizard lump on a tree, which is great. But more than that, they camouflage themselves by staying in the shade. Now lizards, snakes, crocodiles, they all sit in the sun to warm up. But that lizard sits in the shade all day, every day. Now why do you think a lizard would sit in the shade in the rainforest here? I've already given you the answer earlier on.
Is it because it's warm-blooded?
Well, it's not warm-blooded. No, it is cold-blooded. It should sit in the sun if it wants to get warm, and it needs to get warm for metabolism. But well, it stays still so that it doesn't get warm, but also so that it doesn't get seen. And they don't need to be very warm because they stay still a lot. So their behaviour and the camouflage and sitting in the shadow seem to work together. Nobody knows which one came first, but there's a very good reason why you wouldn't sit in the sun in the rainforest. Yeah. Well, technically they're cold, but we call them thermoconforming. Because they're a lizard, what they do is their body temperature changes with the world around them. So the thermo, of course, temperature, conforming means, you know, make yourself the same as everything else. So they make their body temperature the same as the environment around them. Now, do you remember earlier when I said there was a snake here that could see glow-in-the-dark things if they were warmer than everything else? A snake like that's the only thing that's going to eat a lizard like this. And if you sat in the sun in the daytime, at night, somebody would eat you. So these lizards sit in the shade all the time and they conform with the environment around them for camouflage. They are camouflaged from a snake that can see heat signatures at night. And that's pretty cool. It means that everything else they do is defined by that. They have to sit still, they have to eat bugs, they can't run around, they can't do much. It makes them territorial, so they're pretty easy to find. If you know where they live, you can just go back, go, oh, there he is today. It's pretty cool. They're really cool lizards. Really, really, really cool lizards. And I like them a lot. Because we have, you know, endemic things like that here. And we have endemic things like this here. This is a beetle that's only found in our forest. This one doesn't have a common name either. This is Pelargoderus rubropunctatus, which is a stupid name, but scientific names are never easy to say, right? And this is probably the scariest thing I've ever photographed, actually. Because these beetles, I mean, they're not big. That's a Lego man there. It's a tiny beetle. But longicorn beetles like that eat wood. And wood is hard. So their mouth is made to cut through wood. Even though it's just a little beetle, if they bite you, it's terrible. And they are the weirdest, most nervous, creepiest beetle I've ever worked with. I've photographed nearly 400 different creatures on Lego. That one made me very, very nervous. Because not only do they have a mouth that can tear through skin, even though they wouldn't eat you anyway, they hiss. If you upset them, they start freaking out and going, which is weird enough. And then they walk around like some sort of weird jittery robot. They just start doing these things. And it's not okay. It's not okay. They scare me a lot. But there are lots of different beetles like that in our forest. And because they eat wood, they're actually really important to the forest. They help to break down wood, which is fantastic, but also they must be important to some types of trees in some sort of way. Because for our forest here, the Daintree Rainforest, it's full of things that are very unique and very special to this location. And all of those things are tied in together. Some of you were here on Tuesday night. If you're here still next Tuesday, come in and I'll talk about things being tied together. But we have a lot of complex relationships in our forest. And things like this, these endemic beetles, they are just representative of those complex relationships. And such an incredible thing to be part of. To find a beetle that can be seen nowhere else in the world, in the middle of a forest filled with things that can be seen nowhere else in the world, is pretty cool, even if they are kind of creepy. So, I guess what I'm trying to get at here is that the scary things aren't that scary, and the things that aren't that scary, probably a little scarier than you might have realised. And maybe everything on this planet is just incredible and deserves a little more respect. It's not like anything out there is trying to get us actively, except maybe mosquitoes. They're pretty creepy. And hippos. Don't play with hippos. Hippos are awful. I don't know what their problem is. Hippos kill more humans than most things, and it's really unjustified. But yeah, as long as you never try and put a hippo on your Lego, I think we should all be all right. Yeah? Sound like sense? Maybe. Maybe not. But everything out there is wonderful and amazing. And if you wanted to learn more about it, guys, there's plenty more content. If you go through any of the socials, any of that stuff, YouTube videos, there's plenty more there. But for now,